Hey there, folks. So, last episode we did some work towards our string parser for the creature type. Sorry, my brain is not wanting to work here. Creature type from string, we got that working, and we did some more work around loading in the creature information from a file. This episode, what I want to do is get started on what is going to be what I'm referring to as the creature factory. What it's going to be is a singleton that is used to store, like load in all of the creature information at startup. And then from there, we're also going to, we're going to have a blueprint function library that we can access the singleton's information from. So to get started, I'm going to Inner Content Browser, C++, Project Public. I'm going to go into the function libraries and new C++ class. Is it in here? Yeah, blueprint function library. Scroll down towards the bottom there. Click next. Now we have TF utilities, and this is going to be called TF singleton functions. And the whole purpose for this is I just want one blueprint library that is going to be used to access all of the various singletons we're going to have, again, within the project. So TF singleton functions, going to create class. And I did launch the editor from within Visual Studio, so it is going to ask us to do a reload. This time around, I'm going to actually just be shutting down the editor and then reloading it afterwards. But while it's doing all this, I just want to explain some of the things we're going to be doing. So this singleton we're creating, we're going to be using very similar logic and functionality that we did for the logger singleton. It's going to be a C++ one, like core C++. It's not something that's going to be exposed to the engine directly. That's the reason for the function library. And the reason for that is Unreal Engine doesn't like having multiple singletons within the engine component of things. You can do it this way, not a problem. But so actually what I want to do here is just wait until it is done. But anyways, so just to explain that, so the singleton itself is something that we're going to end up instantiating, which is creating the first instance of it as part of our game instance. That is the only singleton that the Unreal Engine lets you have, is your game instance singleton. And then from there, that is going to keep it in memory perpetually, so that information is always there, so it can load things in as needed. Not load things in as needed, I should say. Actually, no, you could do this to allow runtime modifications as well to this information. So, but anyways, to finish explaining that, you're compiling, you're going to let me hit reload. Reload, I'm sure you want to stop debugging. Yes, because I just need them to show up in the function library. But anyways, so the purpose of this is we're going to have it instantiated within the game instance so that it is created at runtime. And because the game instance itself is perpetual from startup of the application or the game to shutdown of the game or executable, the creature factory singleton won't be destroyed. It's not something that's going to get destroyed between map loads or anything like that. So any information in there will be persistent. So now that we've got that in here, and you can see in our function libraries, we do have singleton functions, we do need to go through and add in the creature factory. Now in here, we can do that a couple of different ways. I'm actually going to be adding it to the game subfolder. So we're going to add new item. This is going to be a header file, and we need to change our path. So we're going to go to the fall, source, the fall. This is in our public section, game. I'm going to select that. And this is going to be TF creature factory. Factory. We're going to add that. It's going to just create an empty header. And we're going to do the same thing in the private for the source file. So add new item, CPP file, public game this time around because we're already in that area. It picked the right section, but we'll go public, pick the last folder we were in. We want private game. And select that folder, and this is going to be, again, TF Creature Factory. And we're going to add that. So much like the logger, we are wanting to set this up as a singleton. So first things first, we're going to get this part done. So in the header file, it's going to be class TF, TF Creature Factory. And then we can go through and take a look how we set this up before. We have a static static class pointer called instance. So private static TF Creature Factory pointer P instance. And then I'm actually going to end up moving this to a helper function, but into TF utilities actually. But anyways, and then we go through, we have down here, we have two functions. I'm not worried about this one. We're looking at this one here. Return to static class pointer get instance. Now in here I did everything in the header because this is a very lightweight chunk of code, and this would actually get compiled everywhere it needed to. Creature Factory, I'm not going to be doing that. So public static TF Creature Factory pointer get instance, and that's just a function. So create the definition for that, and this is going to have some issues. So it's going to be, let's go include game. There we go. So in here, we're going to, again, pretty much we can just copy paste this. We're going to have to change the new logger, but that's it. New TF Creature Factory. The other thing we need to do is in our source file from your logger, you can see we're setting that as an instance. So up here, TF Creature Factory pointer, Creature Factory referencing the instance. So TF Creature Factory P instance equals null pointer. And that's just so it is initially a null value. So now that we've got this within our game instance, what we are going to want to do is in our no, we're just going to put this in here as a private variable. So it's going to be class TF Creature Factory pointer P Creature Factory. And the reason for this is everything within the, I'm trying to think how to describe this here. Everything that we're going to be doing isn't going to be done through the game instance. That is just going to be what we're using to create that initial instance and ensure that it stays there for the duration of the application running. So what we're going to do there is in our source file for that, we are going to then include the information. So that's going to be include TF Creature game TF Creature Factory. So in here, you can see we've got our initial startup functions as part of the constructor. So we're going to go P Creature Factory equals TF Creature Factory, too many F's, get instance. Now, as it stands right now, this isn't going to do pretty much anything. All this will do is set up and create this instance, and it keeps it in memory. So very small memory footprint for what we've got right now. There's obviously not a lot we're doing there. So we do need to create, let me go back to the creature factory, this function, the actual constructor, because right now it doesn't do anything. So we want this to be private, so it's going to be tf creature factory constructor, and actually I'm going to move this to the top. Now, because this is just a C++, I'm going to use that for the distinction. You have C++ and then you have Unreal Engine C++. Because this is just C++ code, it's not something we have to worry about U properties or anything like that. Like if we look at the logger, we have none of those in here. So now the constructor, it's not going to give you IntelliSense for. So easy enough. We just go copy this. I'm going to throw it down here. So what'll happen is when this get instance is called, it's going to go, okay, well, the instance is a null pointer. We need to create a memory assignment for it, and then we're going to return that memory pointer. So what we've got here, though, is how we're going to initially cause this to load everything up. So what I'm going to do here in our private section here, we're going to go void load creature data. This one will give us IntelliSense where we can just do that. And all I'm going to do here for the sake of this, we're going to go load creature data. What we're going to do is I'm just going to pull that information we have from our game instance where we're debug startup, all of this here. I'm going to take this out and I'm going to throw that in here. Now there's obviously some stuff we are missing. That is going to be, we need our TF utilities. I'm going to include logger even though I've not used anything there yet. And then, was it core minimal, I believe, is the one that... I'm trying to think where... Well, we need this one. Actually, we don't need this one here at all. So I'm going to cut that one out. Do we have JSON stuff in here? Form, that was the DOM. Or is it that one? I can't remember where this falls under. Sorry, I'm bouncing back and forth between things here, and I'm not really talking much. I'm just trying to figure out where these are coming from. So tf-utils, DOM JSON object. Yeah, so that would be that one there. Okay, let's try build. I may have actually screwed this up, because when we look at our logger here, we don't use things like fstring. So this may not work with how I'm planning on doing this. Because yeah, my thoughts here is I was going to leverage the... No, it built. Okay, so these are just errors that IntelliSense doesn't like. So what we're going to do here, obviously then, I'm going to throw a breakpoint here. I'm going to throw a breakpoint here, but also back in our game instance, I'm going to put a breakpoint on the debug startup. And we're going to launch this, and let's see if it explodes because of those errors, but I don't think it will. But the whole purpose for this, and I understand I'm repeating myself, but this is a topic I know can get a little complex for some people, especially with singletons, because in C++ they're different to C# singletons. But okay, so here we go, creature factory. So I'm just gonna hit F10, which should be step over. That drops it in here. So this technically we've hit that, but we're already inside here. We have our information in there. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it. Values. Yes, it's all going through. So we're good there. So this is working. We can just ignore those IntelliSense errors because they're false positives or false negatives in this case. But yeah, so the whole purpose behind this is to have it set up in a way that when well, actually, I'm going to do this a little different so I can show you guys on this one. So I'm going to get rid of all of these breakpoints. We're only going to hit the one. But the whole purpose for this is so that it's going to execute the file load on application startup. So there we go. Continue. And it's not going to ever be cleared up by garbage collection. That information is going to be retained, and it'll be held there up until the point that we need to pull information from. So with that though, I'm actually going to close out of the editor because I didn't need to jump in there. Sorry, I know singletons it's even hard for my brain to try and figure out how to explain singletons. But so now within here, we're obviously, this is going to be something we're going to change. What we want to do here though is we want to add in some utility functions, which are going to be things like void get creature of type, and this is a void for actually I want to do this as a void. No, we want to do this as an actual data type. So I'm going to move this over to the header. And one thing you'll notice here, just like with the logger, we don't have the .generated.h because we're not compiling engine code. Oh, come on, IntelliSense, let me save my files. There we go. So in here, it's actually going to be something along the lines of f creature information, creature type. That's not what we want. That's the return. Sorry. Creature information, and then brain's not working. It's E creature type we want to use. So enum E creature type reference. Finish off the function declaration, and hopefully IntelliSense, which means I can move this back actually. No, I'm going to leave that there thinking about it. So now this is, again, just a sample function. I still need to figure out all of the different combinations because it could be like, I want to get a large carnivore. I want to get a specific carnivore. I want to get a large, medium, or small carnivore. So there's going to be a bunch of different things you're going to want to be able to do with this, and you need to sort of, like, those are things you want to plan out. But you can, the way I've set this up, or I'm setting this up, I should say, is it's always going to be expandable. You need to add in, oh, I need a function that's going to get me a selection of different creature types and pick a random one out of that group. So, okay, so now we've got this here. I need to add in the reference for the creature type, include data type. Let's grab it from here, actually, creature type. So what we need to do, creatures.add, actually, here we go. This doesn't need to be here. This needs to be in the header. This is my problem here. So what we want here is T array, actually, pos creatures for const auto C in creature data. No, sorry, it's just creatures. Oh yeah, right there, creatures. My brain is not working. If C dot, no, if C dot, where is it? C dot, yeah, it's going to be a dot, I believe, equal to creature type, pos creatures dot add C. It's creatures. If pos creatures dot num, capital M, n is equal to 0, return null pointer. Int idx equals fmath, not rand. Random int. How did we do that? That was in TF utilities. That was in a random actor, sorry. Now this is something, the reason why I'm doing this the way I am is I'm wanting to make sure I'm using the same method. I just flooring. Using a random stream. Okay. Do I want to use a stream? Yeah, because I want to also, I'm trying to think on this one. Like, I am tempted to have it set up the way the world generation and stuff is done, that it's done using a seed. So I'm thinking this might work. Yeah. So, all right. So this actually turned out to be another case of it's just an IntelliSense error that's not there. You can see us have a successful build. One thing I had to do is, and this was 100% me, brain's not working. This return that was, I'll put this back for a second, return null pointer. The null F creature information can't be a null pointer. That's the issue there. So undo that. So rand stream, because IntelliSense isn't working for this, we're going to need to, I'm just going to do this. Now this is something I'm going to be changing. It's going to be, this is just a placeholder. Rand stream dot initialize. We don't have rand seed. I'm going to use postcreech.num to do change the seed. And then what we want is what we've done here. And this is going to return creatures.idx. Now let's see if this builds. Now the whole purpose for this, and this is just an initial function I want to create so we can expose it into the function library, which looking at the length of this episode, no, I should keep it in this one. So, but this is just to expose a function that we can, two blueprints, so we can say, okay, and this is just to show everything I'm going to be doing is going to be in code. But with that, again, as I've mentioned multiple times in various different episodes, you want to expose what you can to blueprints that isn't too dangerous. And again, because I'm thinking of modding support, not everyone who creates mods is going to be a C++ programmer. Some people are going to want to use blueprints, things like that. So anyways, now that we've got that, let's look at our function library. So singleton functions, I'm going to actually close out of a bunch of this crap. I don't need open. Keep creature factory there, singleton there, utils, I'm going to get rid of game instance. I'm going to open up our other one so I can sort of compare and make sure we're following a similar structure. Function library. So in here, uClass all over includes ufunction blueprint callable. So I'm going to copy this quickly. We're going to go to our function library. These are all going to be public, obviously. Category for this is going to be TF singleton. Get random creature by gets a random creature by type. So we are going to have a very similar function to what we added to our creature factory. I'm going to copy this, throw that into the singleton. And we need to include that creature information header, so I'm going to throw that in there as well. Oh, I'm missing the semicolon at the end of the function there. I was like, why is it throwing a fit? I'm going to change this to by type instead of type so that there is a distinct difference between those names. And we're going to create this definition. So in here, we're going to need to include game and our creature factory. return, and this one's going to be pretty easy. Return TF creature factory, get instance, get creature of type, creature type. Simple as that. Now let's try a build. And while this builds, I'll explain the reason why this is so simple. We're not having to do any really fancy logic or anything there. This is literally, these are just pass-through functions to expose our singleton to our blueprint. And this is how you can get around the fact that Unreal Engine only lets you have one singleton within its logic, whereas within C++, these are some workarounds that you can do to have more than one singleton. You can't expose them all to the engine, obviously, like you can with the game instance, but if you want to have a true singleton for your game, or multiple singletons for your game, you would go about it something like this. You have a pointer to it that is within your game instance, and then you have that perpetually, because your game instance is, as mentioned previous episode, is created at the start when the application launches, and it's there persistently until you close and exit out of your game. So what I'm going to do here is we are going to quickly just open up our third-person blueprint for this. Third-person blueprints, BP third person. And this is just because I want to add a function that we can throw a breakpoint on. I'm going to get rid of this equip weapon here. Get creature. No, why is that not exposed? Creature by type. I messed up the inputs. That's what it is. Let's go back to that. Const. Yeah, okay, so to close out of this, compile and save, close out. We got to rebuild the editor quick. So what I'm going to do, I'll pause the video. I will be back once we are in the editor. All right, so we're not actually back in the editor. I completely spaced on a couple of other things we're going to need to do as a result of that requirement for the const. So for ease, we need to, obviously in the source file for the utility blueprint function library, we need to change this to a const. But then that breaks this. So we need to go through into our creature factory and also change all of these to const. And I'm actually just going to do a build and make sure this builds. Because I did that whole, I'll be back when I'm in the editor, and then it imploded on me. So all right, everything built. So now I'll be back once we're in the editor. All right, so we're back in the editor here, and you can see I've got the third-person character open up here, so I can try this. So get creature. If I could spell creature, why do I keep hitting Y? Get creature by type. Promote to variable, and this is because this function's not great. I'm going to have to do some changes to it. So creature type. Actually, I'm going to rename this get creature type. The creature type, okay. Compile the blueprint. Default, I'm going to say medium carnivore, because that's what we've got for the, I believe that's wolf. Break. You gonna let me break? No, it's having a moment. Hopefully I don't crash the editor with this. Break creature information. There we go. And then we're just going to go print string. The whole purpose for this is just to make sure this is actually exposed to blueprints. So compile. Therefore, it's not. What did I screw up here again? Not convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. What's the difference there? What did I screw up? Because that's this function here. Blueprint callable, blueprint pure, static. And then in here, sorry, my brain is just not wanting to work today. I'm in the wrong file, that's why. Make sure we didn't do anything here. Yeah, no, that's right. Okay, so let's close out of the compile and save this. It's going to throw an error. Yep, that's fine. Close out. Yes, save selected. Okay, let's try another build. And this again goes to show and reiterate, some of the things I've said in the past about how you can just have those off days where you could be writing the most basic of code and just screw it up because your brain is running on autopilot or anything like that. And this is an example here. My brain is running on autopilot. I haven't dealt with a function library for a while. I can't remember what episode I added those in, and I'm not familiar working with them. So, all right. Anyways, okay, so get creature by type. Let's compile. Okay, so this all, yep, so that built fine. Okay, so pressing 4, we should hit this. So I'm going to throw a breakpoint here. I'm going to hop back over to Visual Studio. I'm also going to throw a breakpoint here. Actually, get rid of this breakpoint. Back in the engine, close out of this. I'm going to hit play. Hopefully this doesn't implode. Okay, we're good there. And I'm going to hit 4. Okay, we hit that. Okay, so in here, pause creatures. Creatures is 2. Medium carnivore. We should get 1 of these added. Yeah. Creatures.num. No. Okay. Index is 0, so we're going to return the first one, which is our wolf. This needs to be fixed because that needs to be pause creatures, but because I just realized that, do that. Okay, so we do that. We're going to just step out. I'm just going to ignore that for now. Yes, I know. Continue. And continue. And you can see up in top left there, it printed out wolf. So, okay, I'm going to stop there. And this is actually where I'm going to end this episode off. Gone through and started the basic work on the creature factory. Next episode, I'm probably going to pivot to something else because I do need to do some more design work around what sort of information I want in the creature file, how I want it stored, how I want to prevent duplicates. Because right now, actually, I'm just going to close over the editor here. Right now, the way this is set up, you could have 27 wolves, all slightly different. I may want that. Just thinking about it like that's the sort of decision I'm still not 100% on, because as I mentioned quite a few episodes back now, I'm actually further in this project's development than I've ever gotten. So I've started to hit these points where I need to stop and think about things a little more because though I do have them within the design document that I've got, and it's a huge binder, like I think we've got probably 400 or 500 pages worth of notes. Um, though I've got the general idea, because I've never hit this point in the code before, in coding before, um, a lot of this I'm still like uncertain on how I want to do it because there's multiple different options. Like I was just saying there, like, do I want to be able to have 27 different types of wolves that are all called wolf? Do I want to have like 10 different bears, things like that? So, but anyways, folks, like I said, this is where I'm going to end the episode off. I'm not sure what I'm going to pivot to with the next episode. But as always, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below or hop over onto the Discord. I'm pretty active on both. As soon as I see comments, I do try to respond. But as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.